Hello. Do you have your ticket? Or you don't have one? No problem. Just hit the subscription button below. Come on in. Hey guys, DFG here, Gideon's Flight. Hey, just wanted to share with you guys some information that I just heard about a couple of hours ago. Just early this morning, it's about 6 o'clock Central Time. This incident happened in New Zealand, Christchurch, New Zealand. And it happened, I guess I'd have to say, I guess yesterday for them, probably late last night for us, or early this morning for us. But unfortunately, in New Zealand, 49 people have been pronounced dead. Many others have been wounded, injured by three individuals. One has been identified as this male, and he's Australian, if you can see him. Okay, let me put him up here. Okay, let's try here. Sorry. There you go. That's a good picture of him. Australian. And as a matter of fact, this guy, literally with one of those GoPros on his cap, went inside of a Muslim mosque. Matter of fact, two mosques were attacked in Christchurch, New Zealand. And Christchurch, New Zealand is New Zealand is two islands, North Island and the Southern Island, and Christchurch is will be considered in the central part of the South Island. It is the political capital of New Zealand, and it's an area of New Zealand where there's been a lot of challenges. Well, the whole island of New Zealand, the country of New Zealand itself, has been a lot of issues going on with immigration. Now, I bring this to your attention because I guarantee you, as the fact starts to come out, this has something to do with, unfortunately, racial bias. And why do I say that? Because these individuals went into two Muslim mosques and pretty much opened fire, three of them altogether. I showed you a picture of one of them with M16s and other automatic, semi-automatic machine guns, and just opened fire, on the men inside of these two mosques. If you know the history of New Zealand, then you know that prior to 1600, New Zealand was pretty much Polynesian, pretty much 100% Polynesian. And the Dutch came right about the middle 1600s. And when the Dutch came, they settled. They came and settled in the island. There was a lot of conflict at that time between the native, who called themselves, I want to pronounce this, Maori, because they really didn't have a name that they called themselves. So they called themselves the normal people. And so that's how they were able to identify themselves from, the Dutch, who came in the mid 1600s. And then a few years later, the British came. And to give you an idea of how that history worked inside of that island, from about 1769, there were about 100,000 Polynesians in New Zealand. By 1896, approximately 120 years, there were less than 47,000 Polynesians in New Zealand. And of course, a lot of that was attributed from the immigrants who had come from, Europe, and pretty much brought with them diseases and other things that obviously that those people were not accustomed to, and wiped them out. Very similar to other history that has happened, in many other on other continents around the world. But what's really sad about it is that it went from a Polynesian island to around the early 1900s. It's now what you would consider an English-speaking island. The major religion there is Christianity, Roman Catholicism, some also Presbyterian, and then there's just a small fraction of what you would consider Hindu, Buddhism, and appears in this instance Islam. And the individuals, the men who were attacked, these were Islam men. They were in a mosque, worshiping in that mosque. And the reason I emphasize men because, and someone can correct me, but it appears that in many mosques it's only men. I think that's about right. So you don't have to correct me on that. In the Muslim mosques, I think it's male only. But anyway, they went into that mosque, and there were people from many ethnic groups. Some from different places of Asia, some from Somalia, some have been from What other countries in that general area? Iraqis. So you have had a vast Muslims, as you know, are all over the world. And I'm not a Muslim myself. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. But Muslim, as you know, make up many diverse groups. But let me get to the main crux of the story. New Zealand has been having a real big pushback because of immigration. New Zealand feels like, they're being the white majority that's on the island now, over almost 60% of New Zealanders will be consider themselves white, and the rest would be others, different, smaller groups from other places. And pretty peaceful countries. I don't want to label New Zealand as anything other than what it is. A beautiful country, seem to be, for the most part, a peaceful country. But apparently this particular Australian, the guy that I showed you, had to have had some issue with the immigration coming into their country. Because that is where the struggle is right now, is that in New Zealand, is the fact that they believe that immigrants coming from, Asia, or some of the darker countries, I'm going to just call it like it is, and they have a problem with that. Now, again, that's no excuse for terrorist act from these three individuals. There's no excuse for for that type of white supremacist violence, behavior. But unfortunately, they target that. White supremacists. You know what I'm saying? That's the way they operate. They will terrorize, communities, and they have been known for doing that, probably for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. Again, when you look at New Zealand, it went from Polynesian, who I'm sure were darker skinned people, to now Europeans. Again, I'm not making this about race, so get out of your feelings. Let's just look at it from a historical fact. I did my homework. Do your homework. Prove me wrong if I'm wrong. You'll find that I'm not. And so, but this comes down to, some idiot, some bigoted, low down, dirty, white supremacist who decides he's going to take it upon himself to rid, Christchurch of Muslim men, the ones who can reproduce. You know what I'm saying? To kill them. And so if that's not a terrorist, racist mindset, there can't be one. And there's even video of this guy walking to the church. I took some pictures of it, but I decided not to show it. Walking into this church, slaughtering and killing. And that, and that's the sadness of racial bigotry. You know what I'm saying? That it creates a vicious violence and wickedness and evil in the hearts of men and, and women. And we've seen that kind of stuff happen all over the world, and it's getting worse and worse. And that's why guys like myself and others, and I say guys in this instance, I mean male, female, are speaking out and speaking up about these things. Again, many people will say, why are you talking about? Be quiet. If we're quiet, then these kind of demonic, wicked dogs are going to continue to attack the innocent among us who really, truly want peace. They're not going to allow you to have a peaceful existence with them. Therefore, you have to be vigilant. You have to have your eyes open. You have to be prepared. I mean, you remember Dalen Roof? He went into the church in South Carolina and, and opened fire on, innocent, worshipers. You follow me? So these people are not interested in your peace. And please, 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 do not think something can fall out of the sky and protect you from these demonic influence devils. You have to be vigilant, and you have to take the necessary, precautions, even if you are in a church or a mosque or in a supermarket for that matter, to be sure that you're prepared to defend yourself and your family. That's why I'm such a big advocate for the Second Amendment. I mean, because the government is not going to be able to protect you no more than they were able to protect those individuals, in that mosque, from people. Because these people, there was no record of them. They had no violent history. They had no manifesto that anybody knew about. So they were doing this underground. But just because it was not above ground and people weren't because people were not aware of them, doesn't mean that they do not exist. And I think that's the trap we fall into many times, because we think that, well, if there are bad people around, somebody's going to warn you. Not all the time. Not all the time, guys. So you have to be, vigilant. You have to take the necessary steps and necessary precaution. And you just have to expect, unfortunately, you have to expect the unexpected. That's the world that we live in. And this hatred and this violence and people claiming, pieces of earth as though it's theirs, it's flat out ridiculous. This earth belongs to mankind in nature. It doesn't belong to me, you, or anyone else. But that's the arrogance of men. I don't mean to be preachy, but I'm just going to be honest. That's the arrogance of men, that they really believe that they can claim earth, that somehow earth belongs to them and them only. Earth was here long before you were here, my friend. Earth has no owner. Earth only has a creator. And we have the privilege of sharing it. But that's the latest, you know what I'm saying? They haven't given his name. I think he's like 28 years old. I know he's Australian. I know he had two had two others accompanying him. And it did happen in New Zealand. And last number I heard is 49, dead. And many more injured. So guys, be alert, be aware. Protect yourself at all times, as they say in boxing. And expect the unexpected. You know what I'm saying? And defend the things that you love and appreciate every day that you have here, because like those men, it could be taken away from you in a twinkling or a bat of an eye. I pray to Yahweh for those families and hope that they can have some peace, in their hearts for this tragedy. And, and for any of you guys who are out there who may hear this video, or if you hear this video and you know someone who falls into this, I hate others because they don't look like me. You know what I'm saying? Guys, you need to share this video with them. And you need to really start calling them out. Don't let them hide. Because see, deep down inside of their souls, they may be the next, terrorists. And it doesn't take a nation to be a terrorist nation. Terrorism is an individual act. You know what I'm saying? It's something that's in the heart of an individual. And what they try to do is find other like individuals. Like the Ku Klux Klan back in the day. And they take that bitterness, that hatred, you know what I'm saying, that weakness, quite frankly. Because if you can't exist with others, only a coward has to kill because he can't exist with others. People of courage can interact anywhere. They can go anywhere. They can be around anyone. They're only cowards who act this way, that way. Sneaking, attacking, and killing others because of their differences. Don't be one of them. And if you know someone who fits that description, don't let them hide. Expose their asses. Thank you for listening. DFG. Talk to you later, guys. Bye now.